Okay, welcome everybody from wherever you are. This is New Talk Now again, and we have a special guest today. This is Brother Sage, and Brother Sage has been a wellness and self-healing practitioner and facilitator since 1979. So he's got a lot of real experiences here on Earth and other places too, of course, but today he's going to share a bit about what he's been through so that others can learn and become more aware from his real experiences. And together we can all just become more aware and have a real adventure here. So we're going to go over a lot of things. We're going to have a lot of fun, that's for sure. And so, Brother Sage, you want to start out just sharing a little bit about yourself and what you've come through in this little short lifetime, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, you might say my story is a common person's story. I was domesticated. I was put through school. I went through the main course in America. I was fed the American diet. I was given the same programming about everything, every part of reality you can imagine, until my mind kept getting this voice that's saying, none of this is right, none of this is real, you need to seek the light. And so things started happening to me since I was 18. Between 18 and 20, I was going through the tough suicidal years. This doesn't make sense. And I only got through college thanks to drugs, sex, and rock and roll. But when I hit a certain age, I guess it was like 22, 23, I ended up, let me backtrack to the 600 Picket story. This is a wonderful metaphor for anybody whose mind is, and so things started happening to me since I was 18.
Sorry, go ahead.
No problem. The story of 600 Pickets occurred when I was 18, feeling suicidal. I had no reference on reality because I was going to the beginning of my breakthrough to awakening. And so at that time, we had no landmarks or any way to understand mind that's being liberated. So I told my dad, I don't know what's wrong. I need a CAT scan. I need psychological help. I can't make sense of anything. He says, son, would you like to paint the pickets on the back fence? You got to understand, this is El Paso, Texas. He said, would you like to paint the pickets on the back fence? I said, I got nothing else going on in my life. Sure, why not? So the entire month, this entire summer, I did nothing but paint each side, which is 4 sides of the picket, up, down, up, with this forest, dark green forest. At the end of that summer, now I didn't do any socializing. I had no dating. I'm 18. I just stayed true to the discipline and the task, and it was all over. My mind was all cleared up because all I did was mindful repetition without thinking about how bad life was, and it cleared my mind. So I still use this today with art and speaking and journal writing. You got to be able to get yourself back in balance as fast as possible when you get on track. So that helped me a lot to get started. Oh, I should tell more.
No, that's really cool. So yeah, but from where did you go from there? You know, like you're still like a teenager. What did your parents share with you? Anything about, anything real beyond this physical matrix here? Where did you go from there?
No, and I didn't even have the understanding to hold the questions that I would ask now if my dad was alive, my mom was alive, my dad was alive. Now, I ended up going through the years of conspiracy theories and went down the rabbit hole so deep it almost killed me until I realized I don't need conspiracy theories. Life enough is a ride. And so I stay away from all that. But what was happening is that I found myself in a raw food restaurant at age 22 when I was with a friend and we thought we had the life of our dreams. We're painting Willie Nelson's motel in Austin, and we're living the great life, swimming and running. And then he goes off to the Air Force, and I didn't know what to do. So an old lover of mine says, go to this restaurant, it's like raw foods. They have a community, 24 hours, you can live there, blah, blah, blah. So I went through the whole thing, and my mind got clearer and clearer the less I eat. The more raw foods, the more I surrendered to community. I met gurus and teachers and yogis and high beings that got me really clear and got me on my path, and I haven't gotten off of it since. That's the short version.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't really use the term conspiracy theories, but I definitely investigate the things that are going on this planet because yeah, people they need to see, you know, the reality of what's really taking place here, and I see your view too, so that's a interesting comparison. And okay, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna ask you a
Please.
question here. So it says, do you know why you are here, you know, on this planet, and if so, why?
Um, I'm here to assist in the scheme of creation. That's the big picture. To assist everybody in finding their balance in coming home.
Okay, yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, that's what we're here to do too. Myself, I like to share what makes sense so people can become more aware. And because realistically, like when you say become back home, you know, it's we have different, everybody or lots of people have different references for these different places, but it's learning to recognize what references are referring to, and then we can all we can all have the same focus and the same purpose, and becoming more aware and recognizing our real awareness, our real being, you know. And so yeah, it's a real journey, and it's a tough place to do it here, but we enjoy the challenge, and so that's what we're doing. And yeah, we have wonderful projects as wonderful worldwide educators for people, because all the young people and older people too, everybody wants a real purpose, and not just to keep supporting the business world that's destroying the natural environment that supports all of us. So what you do with your practice is really cool. You facilitate self-healing, and everybody's body is ready to do it, you know, to heal, and then, you know, you heal your other bodies in that process. So you need to, if you're physical, emotional, astral, you know, causal, mental, body, subconscious, all these things, they're all full of like created baggage from creation, and it affects us. And as you start to, you know, uh, face these things and overcome them, then things get better. And so it's really cool what you're doing there, and I'm sure we'll talk about more about that. My next question is, do you know where you came from before this life?
I know my imagination wants to name a planet, or name a tribe, or name something other than, you know, my biological parents and their ability to give birth. But all I know is I came from the light of pure essence, or source energy. Call it whatever you want.
Yeah, that's great. That's cool. Yeah. Okay. You don't have to give an elaborate answer. It's just a fun little questionnaire we put together here. We call
Thank
it.
you. It's the same with past lives. You know, people are going on and on about past lives, and I was this and that, and this is how I was killed, and this is my new birth, blah, blah. Well, I think it's very entertaining, but this life is more entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, you don't, you know, the past, you know, it can be a useful reference, you know, like a comparison as to what you're experiencing now, just like when you were, you know, a teenager or whatever. But realistically, life is always new now. This is why this is new talk now. We're talking about what's happening right now. But, you know, it can be a fun comparison too. Like, there was a time where I was interested in my past lives, and I just first found out about the new sound, the new you sound. I think I probably sent it to you. So the new you sound is the real connection to your real awareness, to the true reality life is beyond creation. And you can read about how it came about, how it was, how life presented it to us here. But when I first started singing this song, I was remembering my dreams, or being aware of, in my dreams, and I was like asking to see my past lives, and I got shown in one night, like, you know, 50 or more past lives, you know, and it was so exhausting seeing all this stuff I had been through, you know. It's like funny stuff, but anyway, it can be a good comparison. It's because really it all leads up to now, all the decisions you've ever made in all your lives, in this life, it'll got you to this moment now. And then yeah, we can see what we want to do, decide now according to what we've experienced and become aware of. So yeah, so the next one is yeah, this will be fun. This is, now that you're here, what are you doing here? So you can explain to people what you're doing now.
My career has gone 365 degrees as of 2 years ago. Now, I've been the founder of several movements on this planet. 1980, I put together the You're Worth It movement. I was a Course in Miracles student, and my friend and I, also a Course in Miracles student, made a decision that the English language wasn't very empowering. And so I changed the expression, thank you, you're welcome, to thank you, you're worth it. And that has spun off to Tyra Banks and Oprah and several high-end celebrities saying you're worth it more and more, and L'Oreal stole the copyright. Anyway, 2 years ago, I wrote the book Healing Water from Within, which is all about urine therapy and self-healing and self-liberation. It became a bestseller in 30 days and put me in 12 international markets, and ended up putting me later on 20 radio shows, 3 television shows, and a symposium in Las Vegas. So my live stream has already been laid out, guided for. Because every time I think, what the hell am I thinking? Why do I want to be the voice for pee on this planet? Talk about a non-controversial guy being controversial. Talking about, hold on, I need to get some pee. You cannot talk about the subject without having the golden nectar of life, right? Where's yours? See, water, brother, air toast, air toast.
Cheers. Okay.
Okay, now I love you even more. So surrender is what I constantly do, because every day I'm put in situations like last week, Stampana Osuntosi from Botswana contacts me from Scotland, says, we want you and Dave, allegedly Dave, to be guest speakers at the convention or the conference in Botswana, Africa in August. I signed up for it, let's do it. So these things have been happening almost every day.
So now that you mentioned the urine therapy already, let's go in a little bit more detail, because you joined we got another guest here. I'll just remove it. Is that okay?
Go ahead. It's got my name to it, so there must have been another entry.
Yeah, just keep two screens on the screen, and so.
Just that.
Yeah. So yeah, like urine therapy. I've been reading about it. I read your book. It's really cool. Healing Waters from Within. Harry sent me his book the other day, so I read most of that last night. And I read a scientific article explaining how it works. Now, I didn't quite understand the details, but I understood the concept. But I've had some people contacting me since I interviewed Harry, and talking about interviewing you, and they think I'm a bit nuts. And these are people that are very aware of a lot of different things on the planet and elsewhere. But if you just want to explain, I'm sure you have to do this a lot, but if you want to explain this, how you deal with this controversy that people come to you with, and yeah.
Sure, Henry, thank you. First of all, I want to acknowledge your genius, and you have enough infinite intelligence to be doing the right thing for humanity. And despite any kind of feedback you get from anybody, that's their stuff and yours.
Oh yeah, I'm fine with everything. I'm fine with everything, but it's like I would like to educate people a little bit instead of just saying like. Because I can just say, okay, I'm fine with everything. You decide your life, and that's cool. But
Yes.
like you can throw things in there and have a bit of fun and like explain it a little bit. Because how do you explain how it works? I could try and explain it my way. To me, it's as simple as, because I'm really into being healthy, having this physical body that can just move around and it feels good, and I can do things like plant trees, go swimming, write books, all those things that I want to do to create a real benefit here. It's easier with a healthy physical body, that's for sure. And
a clear mind.
Yeah, and so in the real side, in my dream visions, one time, this was about 10 months ago now, I was shown to drink my urine by what we call them, the real universal guides. It was Shamsi Tabriz, and you can look him up. He's a cool guy. And you can meet him in your dreams. And anyway, I was hesitant. I kind of stuck to my fruit eating, my raw salads and things for months. And then I did a 30-day juice fast, and I was shown again, to do the urine therapy. And then I came in contact with you, and I read your book, and I've been doing it for a couple months now. And it's really cool. But yeah, if you want to, for me, like I said, the confirmation was in my dreams, but some people, they need a bit more scientific, literal knowledge behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you get used to that. My friend, you had the calling. There are more and more people that you will experience. They say, I didn't have any resistance. It just like something had been speaking to me. My calling came through one of my spiritual teachers who wrote a book called You Think, on the secrets of You Think. Leonard Orr had been told by his guru, Babaji, who everybody seems to know as Shiva, the Lord of the universe, to drink of himself and live. So I get the same message from Leonard, and I go, wait a minute. Shiva tells my teacher to tell me to drink my pee. Sign me up. I had no question about it. This is the real deal. And it didn't take that long to move my negative association to what the medical theory was, to seeing it and feeling it and knowing it as a true water of life, as the perfect medicine. But it just takes whatever the mind has to do to make that switch. Keep going. Next question.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
I've got a lot more.
Okay. Yeah. For me, when I first heard about it, it sounded a bit crazy because I was into the fruitarian diet, and a lot of the fruitarian people say that all of your toxins filter out through the kidneys, and so all that sediment or anything is like poison toxins that the body is getting rid of. So when I first tried it, I kind of still had that program going, so I was like rejecting it with my mind. But now that I understand it more, so basically your body is just giving it, there's like excess minerals and vitamins and nutrients that it can't absorb, and they go into the urine, and then if you drink that or put it into your body somehow, then your body can absorb it at a later time. Is that correct?
That's correct. Now, if we're talking anatomical, biological, physiological explanation of what urine really is, then what you're going to end up doing is going back to the bone marrow where the red blood cells, white blood cells, then the golden blood plasma is distributed to the stream, and then the liver moves the golden yellow plasma, which, by the way, now it goes over the kidneys and the nephron system. There's been millions of nephrons, and they filter it through, and that's the small version. But the golden plasma, and I want your watchers to remember this, that whenever 911 first responders show up on the scene, the first thing they do when they put that gurney in the back of the ambulance, hook them up to plasma. That's living blood. When we drink the still water, and by the way, Shivambu means water of Shiva or blood of the Lord. We're really blood drinkers, which gives the vampire spin-off a whole nother view, now doesn't it? We're drinking purified blood water.
Yeah, and it's created by ourselves. That's the coolest thing, because what I like to share with people is they can become self-sufficient with the natural environment that supports all of us. And the natural environment is not just the plants and the trees and the animals and things. The natural environment is all life. All life is this natural awesomeness that supports everything. And that's what you are, that's what I am, that's what everybody is. But when you decide to recognize that that's what you are, and that's what makes sense to support what supports you, and then so you're always supporting yourself with your awareness, and your physical body is just a reflection of that, creating what your body needs all the time. And it's really simple, and it's really liberating, really cool, because you don't have to go and spend money on stuff, because your body's just making the perfect medicine for yourself. So it's really pretty cool.
Yes. The first thing I would address to somebody if they say, "Ooh, it's a disgusting waste product. Why would you drink your urine? Are you effing crazy?" And you would turn to them, calm, centered, and say, "Where did you get that idea from?" You see, most of the people who pass on theories to other people have no solid ground about it. You can blow their theories out of the water if you're just as strong, and actually much stronger, in your wisdom and knowledge of Shivambu and actually of your being. You see, you take a different posture and a different stand. Did you feel that?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's just be real, just be real, be yourself. Yeah. It's like
Be real.
I like what you
I mean, you
said.
have,
It's just say like, where did you get that idea from? Because it's just fed to them by the mainstream educational media corporation, world controllers. Yeah.
right.
Hmm.
And so, what's a mind blower, and this is the reason that the taskmasters and the powers to be on the planet don't want to give up control of this information wisdom, because if 6.5 or 7 billion people discover Shivambu, they will never go thirsty or hungry ever, and they no longer need the government tit in its supply.
Yeah, and at the same time you become more aware here physically, because most people, they're like I said the other day with Harry, they're walking around and they're out of their bodies. They're like absorbed in their mind and their emotions, and they're not really paying attention to what's going on right now. They don't feel that their body is sick, that it's got there's dis-ease in their body. There's all these things, and it's not needed. you know and so when you start getting healthy, eating raw foods and a mucusless diet, these things, and then introducing urine and aged urine, you get like to like another level of awareness where your body becomes lighter, you feel better, and you start to notice things like people's thoughts. And different people have different abilities, but it becomes easier to see more and perceive more. And as you become healthier, it's really pretty cool.
Right. And so, discussing urine therapy, I don't know if you caught the video earlier, but I got the beginning of the outline of the manual for urine therapy teachers and therapists. And so that's exciting because I'm getting contacted from people across the planet who are expressing their interest in becoming a urine therapist or a teacher. And I'm already at the master level of urine therapists and teachers, so I'm a natural to be able to teach this and put a book together. And I'm looking for co-authors, possibly Harry, possibly Monica Shu, John DePass, Ella Tom, who want to contribute some writing to the book.
Yeah, that would be cool. I was looking at yesterday a file, I forget the name of it now, about some doctor. You probably have heard of the file. It's in the one of the urine therapy groups, about a doctor, and it has all the different ailments he helped people cure with testimonials from all around the world. And it's really cool. And yeah, it makes sense for people to learn how to assist other people with it, because people are afraid and they want to be guided a little bit. I've recently started offering a service as a health practitioner to people, just to guide people. I've had a lot of experience. I grew up in New Zealand eating tons of meat. Everybody eats like meat, 3 times a day, huge amounts of beef and lamb and fish and things. And I became a vegan, and slowly I figured it out, fruitarian, mucusless diet, and here I am, pretty healthy. So yeah, it's really cool to be able to help people, and I'll definitely be buying a copy of your book, that's for sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, I'm offering the book internationally as a digital full-color copy that I send on email. If people want to get something right away for $8, I'll send it out to anyone through email. But I want to give a quick announcement, if I can interrupt the show for a second. The Shivambu Hut, which was launched by shivambu.org. Now, we're the guys who are like putting together collaborations with teachers and authors and radio talk show hosts and advocates and devotees to have a central gathering place on the internet that ties up everything, including social media and Yahoo groups, and you name it. And so the Shivambu Hut is going to have updated information, discoveries, and insights about the Shivambu use and the Shivambu movement.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, that's really cool. It's good to bring people together. They can support each other and with whatever they're interested in, and becoming more aware together. So that's cool. That's why we have our projects for everybody that wants to support the natural environment, that wants to grow forests, do natural building, natural healing remedies, learn these things, or educate people on what they've learned. And so people can go to turfclub.club to learn about that, or just message me, because yeah, there's so many people out there. Like there's so many unhealthy people. There's so many people without a purpose too, and everybody needs a real purpose and a real focus here. Yeah.
Right now, what I've noticed with the social groups of the Facebook urine therapy groups is that it's been creating a safe place for people to come out of what we know as the water closet. Because a lot of people have kept their urine therapy protocol practices to themselves, quiet, unbeknownst to their partner, their kids, their grandma. And they had to hide it, and they loved it so much, but they just felt so awkward and embarrassed they couldn't tell anybody. Well, I've noticed that since I've gotten really comfortable with telling people I drink my pee, that I have people coming out of the woodwork saying, "Oh my God, I'm so glad there's someone, I feel so relieved." I said, "Oh, you feel like you're peeing on yourself? What's going on?" That there was somebody they can open up with.
Yeah, it's cool. Like just reading other people's experiences, it's a validation, it's a confirmation because yeah, it's not often that your neighbor is going to be doing it, or there's not really much community in most of the modern world, or easy ways to communicate with people that are interested in the same thing. So yeah, the internet is great, and yeah, it's really cool.
Newsweek reported a week ago that they have statistics that shows that 80% of the population pees in the shower. I'm saying that's great to point that out. Why don't you just tell them to aim better? Be on yourself. Don't waste it, guys. Go ahead, Henry. You see, my book is filled with jokes because this is a serious, non-serious subject. And if we can't have fun in life, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, and we can have fun on the journey of becoming more aware, that's for sure. Otherwise you're just suffering, and that's what we're taught to think that we're supposed to be doing. But realistically, we're all wonderful, free beings of real light, and we're just here to recognize that, and in the process, yeah, we can have fun, and we can become more aware, and we can have an adventure. And it really is. It's like anything is possible, and all we need is we need to like become aware of that. And so as we all keep becoming more aware of that and deciding that anything's possible, yeah, we can do these things like telepathy, teleportation, all these things. They're all possible. We can all do them. We just kind of have to relearn or learn how to do it. So we just got to take the time and figure it out, and decide that that's what we're going to do, whatever it is you want to do. So what we're doing, first of all, is simply wonderful environmental projects with the focus of becoming more aware, and that process of becoming more aware is endless because we're endless free beings of real light. So yeah, it's really cool.
Yes, we're infinite. Go ahead. We can talk about that forever.
Yeah, no, this, yeah, life is endless, and so are we. We are life. So, yeah, I have a question here that says, "Are you aware of what really supports you? And if so, can you explain?"
Yeah, it's not metaphysical. It's not supernatural, and yet it is supernatural. I would say what supports me is life itself, and my willingness to recognize the presence of love as often as possible.
Yeah, life itself. I love that. Love that, because life itself is awesome. Yeah, and then yeah, that's what it is. It's an endless isness that is just always everywhere. Life itself is everything. So that supports everything, like the air you breathe. It's just there supporting your physical body. You can't see it. You can't see life. Like you can see, your hair or whatever. But it's part of life. But what life is what supports that, and that's what you see.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to acknowledge the fact that we're having a conversation that includes people from every belief system, whether it's religious, spiritual, or atheists and agnostics, because if you spend time talking with atheists and agnostics who don't want to use the words that the religious people use, like God and soul, but you start talking about love, you start talking about life, boy, they get animated, they come alive, they don't feel intimidated, they're not defensive. So you realize that you can have a common language that includes everybody, and the word life seems to be doing it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's what we do here at the new presentation. We have people can read the new books that Dwayne has written, and he's totally just rewritten the book with the references. You can go to the back of his book, New Book 6, to read the definitions, and he's just like thrown out all the old terms because there's like dogma and ideas attached to them, and so they don't necessarily reference what they used to, and then people don't want to use them because of that, or because it's attached to a religion, like you said. And so just simple words like, yeah, like life, and instead of calling it, you know, whatever, just call it an isness. It's like I heard Dolores Cannon, she was doing a hypnosis session one time, and she was talking to the collective consciousness of humans or something, whatever the idea was, of all beings, and that she was asking them what they call, you know, life, and this collective consciousness mentioned all the words like God and prana and all these things, but then it said, but really it just is. It's just an isness, you know, and that's the easiest way to say it, you know, because it just is.
No, that's why.
It just is everything, yeah.
And that kind of makes sense when you hear the American Indians use the expression "the Great Mystery."
Yeah.
You know, and everybody else seems to want to put infinity in a label, in a box, in a meaning, in a value, in a definition, and it can't be done. The same with love. It has no comparison and no opposite, and there's nothing that can compare to it. So good luck.
Yeah, it's like you just gotta keep going into the unknown, you know. Yeah, it's cool stuff. So, okay, we have another. Sorry. Yeah, we have another question here. It's, are you aware of what's taking place on this planet Earth? And if so, what?
Oh, that's real simple. We're going through what the Japanese call Rorura storms, or the great time of purification. And this has been happening ever since we got into the Aquarian age, which we're in right now. This is why Shivambu needs to be taken seriously and take a look at how the golden water is the salvation of humanity. But what seems to be happening is we've been in conflict with our nature and our being for way too long. The powers to be have redirected our attention and put us looking outside ourselves and getting caught up with outer-directed reality and events. So the reason people are suffering and struggling is because they're not going inward enough and returning to their calm, balance center. And so once we clear out our story and our beliefs in the past and the pain and all that, we have a chance to save our race.
That's really well put. I appreciate that. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, you want to share a little bit more about how you help people get rid of all that past trauma and baggage and things that are stopping them from progressing and becoming more aware?
Yeah, wake the fuck up! I don't know if it's that simple, but it would be so nice. I always imagine in the show when people would like bitch slap the guy, wake up already. You know, it was Albert Einstein who told us that the definition of insanity is simply doing the same thing again, expecting different results. And if you could just discipline yourself, you could change everything. And this is the hardest part for people, is to stay on task. That's going to improve your life. Do the things that nurture, that are kind to you, that are loving to you. Stop doing the things that are self-destructive, separate you from love and from loved ones in society, and get more involved with having a quality life. And get real serious about it.
That's great. You know, I'm often too like with how to say it like it is, like you just did. People, they just need to pay attention to what they're doing every moment. It's like you said, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. People getting up and doing their 9 to 5 and expecting things to get better when they're subconsciously agreeing to the planet being purposely poisoned by the world controllers and the business world all the time, when people can simply, go and start self-sufficient communities, grow their own food, do all these simple things, just live simpler and with the natural environment that supports you. And it's really cool, and there's so much information out there, and I can see people are paying attention, but at the same time starting to pay attention, but at the same time people need to act and do things. You have to actually decide, and it's in the doing, it's in that process of deciding things and doing them that you can recognize the cause and effect process of creation, and what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. And it's really pretty cool once you decide to take the time to pay attention. Yeah.
Yes, and there's one factor that will help speed up the process. And I wrote an article, and I'd love you to read it and maybe bring it out to the public at some point. And the title of the article, it was published in 2006. The title is "Your Sacred Living Foods and Your Spiritual Path," and I will also include Shivambu and breatharianism and fruitarianism, will not save you from your mind. If you have misery in your soul, if you have death wishes and you're unconscious, and you secretly don't want to be here and do anything on the planet, it doesn't matter whether you're drinking Shivambu or going to church every day. You've got to clear the unconscious out and have more urges to live and engage with others in life than the idea of taking yourself out or ascending to go to a higher place.
Yeah, it's totally true. People need to become aware of what they're subconsciously agreeing to. And one good thing I suggest people watch to understand this is the movie The Forbidden Planet. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like from the 50s, and it's a really good representation of this guy's subconscious, and it's actually creating this entity that is killing life on the planet he's on. And that's what people are really doing here, is they're subconsciously agreeing to be controlled by beings that are killing them and killing this environment that supports them. And it works in different ways for different people, but people need to learn to face themselves and learn to recognize their intent. And then, like you said, they need a purpose. They need a purpose, and that purpose, supporting the natural environment, the isness, that supporting life that supports you. And people can figure out how to do that. That's why we have projects for people to go and plant trees and forests and heal people and create natural buildings. And then from doing it in one place, they can learn and go and do it in other places. And so we're close to getting big funding to do a big project and teach people how to do it and send them off to do it in other places. So we've got these big things going, and you're doing it yourself there with all your community in Colorado there. It's really cool.
Well, also in Huntington Beach, and also in Oceanside, and also over in Africa. Now, I mentioned the Urine Therapy Conference coming up in Botswana, Africa. I've been offered the stage with allegedly Dave out in UK. And so the vision I have is to take our ministry, the Shivambu.org ministry, which is a nonprofit 501 faith-based organization, to go to several countries around Africa, including Egypt and Israel, and create communities around the country that are all involved with urine therapy, so they can network and know each other.
Wow, so these communities are already existing? Is that what you're saying?
Well, they're loosely out there, because I've got contacts in Nigeria, like Dr. Bunmi Samola out there in Nigeria, and some people who are in Botswana, some people in Zimbabwe, Johannesburg. It's just a matter of bringing them out more public so I can find them.
Yeah, that's cool. It's like you said, once you get people together with a collective focus, and let's become more aware together, let's recognize more, and then it's like, oh yeah, let's do that, instead of, because people, they're just thinking that that's something they want to do, but they don't have the support, or they don't decide to create a support network to make these things happen. So yeah, it's cool to hear, and people need to document this stuff, share it around. And so you're sharing it now, people are watching this, they can hear oh wow, this is a real thing. So yeah, it's really cool. And I did want to mention that when I kind of mentioned it, but it's your body is creating, it's not just, it's like medicine, just like some people call plant medicines that help you perceive different things, like say psilocybin will help you see the astral level easier, and you'll start to see fairies and gnomes or whatever, for example. It's like the same with urine. So you can put your intent right into it, and it will give you what you need and what you want, what you need to become more aware. So it's really pretty cool.
You said a very important word, Henry, and the word is medicine. You said plant medicine. And the point to understand here is that the term medicine as it applies to Shivambu, by the way, the original Hindu spelling of Shivambu is Shivambhu, for those who wonder why I spell it that way. Shivambu is a medicine, and the higher we can hold that in our consciousness, that this is the healing medicine that is made perfect at the right time for us, you'll have a totally different experience with it than going, well, someone told me it was good for me. What I'm saying is, if you get it at a gut level, soul level, it has a wholly different frequency.
Yeah, it's yeah. Do you wanna?
I can't hear you.
Sorry, I muted myself. It seems like there's a bit of feedback sometimes between us.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really cool how it works. Now there is one thing that came up yesterday in one of the groups. Someone posted it around. I was talking about, how your emotions and your thoughts, they affect, things, but they affect like the water you drink, like the Japanese guy Emoto wrote about. It was pretty cool. But it happens with your Shivambu as well. So is it correct that people would say that not to drink it if you're in a certain emotional state when you're creating it?
I would say that Shivambu, which is the water of Shiva, is greater than your mind. And trust it and drink it. No matter what consciousness you're at, no matter what emotional state you're out of balance, and you need the nutrients, particularly the melatonin and the serotonin, the oxytocin, all those nutrients that help balance the adrenals and nervous system that gets blown out because of stimulation overload. That would be a good time to drink it.
Okay. And do you want to talk a bit about your experience with it, like when you first started it, how long you've been doing it, and just about the effects it's had on you? I know you're a pretty healthy guy in your 60s compared to most of the sick, disease, dying people in America. But, yeah.
I started in 1994 when I got a hold of what became one of my urine therapy Bibles, which is the Golden Fountain by Cohen Vander Kroon out in the Netherlands, out in Amsterdam. I would read it, I would study, I'd try the protocols. But I also was shy about it because my wife would give me a hard time because the bathroom smelled like pee. And so it was hard for me to be able to translate it, to tell her I'm doing something because I really believe it and I have faith, I trust it. So that kind of went on for all those years, and then she passed away in 2015. And had I been strong enough, I would have told her, we could save you. There's a chance you could heal. She had colon cancer. So then I got stronger into it when she passed away, and I started creating water closets, and I started to get into the protocols more and more. And by the way, if you constantly use it when you get gray hair, your hair gets darker. And so my hair gets darker every time I use it. It's incredible. So in 3, 4, 5 years ago, I started to discover social media, and social media had urine therapy groups, and everything it dropped in, and I go on a saturation overdose. And that is eye washes and rinses and nose drinking and enemas and foot soaks. And I've been teaching that nonstop for the last 3 years, because if you're really serious about getting on top, not only staying healthy and being healthy, but getting on top of it so you don't bring anything into your field or into your body from other people, from animals, from who knows where, and you can be in a water bubble all the time.
So you're still eating?
Of course, you're on mute, Henry.
So you're still eating foods from outside of the outside world?
Food?
Yeah.
Did you get my post about what I made for the potluck for Thanksgiving last night?
No, I didn't see that one.
I made a fruit salad for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And everybody brings traditional Thanksgiving food, but I noticed that 8 of the people could not wait for the rest of the guests to show up. So they said, "You mind if we start on that fruit salad first?" I said, "Now you're thinking." So half of it was gone before people sat down and we did our prayer.
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, it's an interesting experience, that's for sure. Once you start, it's like, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, so
A lot of the journey that we're on right now is the journey of unraveling or questioning everything anybody told you was true. And once you unravel the belief systems of other people and the belief systems of your childhood and of your birth and of your family time, then you're able to hold your mind quiet enough that you can get single thoughts held in your mind and you can manifest more powerfully.
yeah.
So a lot of our work is just to clear your mind of static and excess memories and ideas that don't serve you anymore.
Yeah, that's really well put, because all the stuff we've accumulated is created somewhere in creation, and like all this mind stuff is created by the Kalam God on the mental level. And if people haven't read about this, you can read it, and I can tell you what the books that, like New Book 2 and New Book 4 by Dwayne the Great Writer, he meets the Kalam God on the mental level, and he talks about, he brags basically to Dwayne, because most people don't meet him, don't know he exists. He brags about how he controls the people in the lower levels of creation, or the beings in the lower levels of creation, the astral worlds, the mental worlds, the causal worlds, the physical worlds, and he just brags about it. All this stuff, you know, people are agreeing to, that they need to work a 9 to 5, they need to suffer. People think this is just the way you're supposed to live. This is like expected, this is accepted. But this doesn't make any sense. This is just a way to control people so that other beings can feed off your emotional and mental energy, which is suffering because you're in like a prison. But we don't have to live like this, and it doesn't have to be like this at all. And once you start to recognize what's really going on, you can become more aware of this, and you can just not agree. Just let go of your agreement. You can still operate here in this physical, funny world, but you're deciding to do it. You're doing it consciously now. You're deciding to do it. And while you're here, you're deciding to do it for a real purpose, to become more aware, you know, to support all of life, to support the other people in becoming more aware, to support the plants, the animals, the rocks. They're all having their process. You can put out your intent all the time to support the whole of life, and it comes right back. Life supports you as you support life. And so a really, really cool thing to do, like I said, is read the new books to get more knowledge and get more real knowledge, real understanding as to what's going on in creation. And then also singing the new you sound is the coolest thing ever, because anyone can do it. It's free. It's always available, and it connects you to the true reality life is. And you can just test it for yourself, you know. And you test it, and you'll be shown whether it's in your dreams, so-called dreams on the real side, or here in the physical, because the real side is here and now everywhere. But different people experience things differently in different places, and life will communicate with you according to how you can receive its communication. So different people receive it differently, but yeah, singing the new you is awesome. Anyone can do it. It's just, you can do it however you want. There's no right or wrong way. But for me, it's kind of like, new you,
New you.
Yeah, you got yeah,
I love it.
not many people will sing it back, but that's really cool. And you can do it however you want. You can YouTube it. There's different people singing it. We have friends all around the world that come on our Skype calls and share their real experiences, and it's just so cool. It's like, my experience is so different to other people's, and other people's are just like so cool, the way that they have experienced things like in their dreams or here physically. Like we had this one friend in Singapore, and you know, she got stage 4 cancer, and they wanted to do chemotherapy, and she's like, oh, you know, I don't want to do this. And so she sings the new you, and she asks one of their guides, Revizar, this is Revizar, and she asks him, like, what do I do? And so the next day, one of her friends calls her from Korea and says, oh, there's this herbal supplement in Korea, and they've got the perfect ratios of the four or five different herbs, and it heals people of everything in Korea, and it's really quite cheap. I forget the name of it now, but she started taking it, and within 3 weeks she was fine, and that's just one example, but it's really cool. Yeah.
I would like to add something about the ability of Shi Bambu to heal everything. Because I'm such a public figure, I'm in the spotlight so much, I get video calls from around the world and from people who want advice and consultations. They ask me, does it heal this and it heals that? I know people personally have been healing multiple sclerosis and stage 4 brain cancer and diabetes and inflammation, all kinds of stuff. But the question I always ask when people say, well, it heal this, will heal that, is how serious are you? Because they're going to have to do major lifestyle changes. It's not going to be a quick fix. They got to get their body cleaned out. They've got to reclaim their biological health, their gut. They got to get their house and their affairs in order. So there's things that will complement the use of Shi Bambu a lot deeper and a lot more beneficial than just drinking it and hoping for the miracle.
Yeah, you can't just keep doing your standard American diet and expect, these things to disappear. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, and it's like you said, it's also not going to be just physical things too. It's going to be you have to mentally decide that like you want to heal, because people have this subconscious thing to wanting to be sick to get attention. There's like this goes on a lot of the time too. So, but yeah, it definitely helps. And then like for myself, I was already pretty healthy, and then I started it, and it's like a natural high, that it can give you. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great when you're really running on. For me, now I've been up since 4:20 this morning, and don't run with that number, guys. I've been up since 4:20 this morning. I started Orient Animus and started doing channeling and satsangs and writings, and I've been going nonstop ever since. And what really gets me going all day long, particularly if I'm not eating, if I'm doing lots of Shi Bambu and fruit, is the sense of purpose and creative juices that keep you going on creativity all day long. People you meet, the intersections you find yourself in during the day, and that's the high for me. Don't want to share that.
Yeah, I totally know what you mean. It's like just doing things. It's like it's what's the word? It's like satisfying, but when you have a purpose, when you're doing it for other people, when you're doing it for others, and you're doing something bigger than yourself, it's like you put life first, put the whole of life first, and then of course that includes yourself too, and you'll be okay. So yeah, it's really cool. It's like myself. I was saying that I went to sleep at 4:20. I don't need to sleep as much anymore, and so yeah, it's a really cool. It's a cool little adventure that the whole of life, and then this little physical place here is just a little playground, and we can have some fun here and share what makes sense. So yeah, it's really cool.
It makes sense, and it's as hilarious as you can imagine it to be, because people say life is serious, and I know a lot of people, and you know them personally, some of my closest friends and housemates and clients, they've lost their sense of humor almost. They've lost the ability to imagine and to be able to, be spontaneous out in the world, and everything seems to be very, very serious. And I said, well, what's the point of living if you can't enjoy it? And so people, lighten up.
Yeah, go and hug a tree and just like whatever, roll in the grass. Like kids are awesome. They're just so cool. Watching children, they just run around. There's no tension in their bodies because they're always moving. They're climbing things, they're playing with things, they're looking in the dirt, and they're just like, they're so like now. They're now. Life is always new now, and they're paying attention to what's going on now. They're watching the trees, they're looking at the birds. It's so cool to watch the kids, and kids, they always look at me because they're looking around, and they'll make eye contact with me, and I'll look at them and I'll make a funny face or whatever, but there's this cool recognition. I'll like telepathically communicate with them, and I'll tell them like, yeah, I'm real, you know, remember, remember my face, remember this experience because your parents aren't paying attention, you know, and
Well, those kids can see your soul.
yeah,
They see right past the facade. They see past your story, your words, your image, your personality. They go, I recognize you. I know you.
exactly. Yeah, I get it. Like I said, there's this communication there, and it's so cool. You know, it's so cool. But then you see their parents, and their parents are always on their phone, or they're thinking about their next meal, even though they're already full from their last meal a couple hours earlier, whatever's
Yeah.
going on. But yeah, the children are awesome, but they still need a real education here, just like we did. We were indoctrinated, and then we needed to, you know, gain a real education about what life really is. And so there are some cool parents out there now homeschooling their kids and telling them about their past lives, or just that they're, you know, much more than a physical body. But really, there's a whole lot more to even that. And so another thing we're doing is we've created a new homeschool for parents to get involved with and learn about health, and then, you know, also, you know, their real side experiences, exploring their dreams, because a lot of kids have awesome experiences in their dreams, and their parents tell them like, oh, that's not real, you know, this is just your physical life here, your meaty body, this is what's real. And man, that was the same for me. I had awesome dreams as a kid. I had polar bear friends that I met by the beach in a cave, and we would hang out every night, you know. But eventually, you know, I stopped paying attention. I was having more dreams, more about like scared of not getting in trouble at school for not doing my homework and things like this.
Well, I still have angels and spirit guides that come to me when I'm doing treatments and I'm doing the healing work that I do. By the way, right now I am sitting in my office at the Center of Aliveness here in Boulder. This is where I do treatments and have classes, and I have a spirit guide that's been with me since I guess about 1 year old, since I remember an angel hovering over the baby bed and just telling me, you know, about my life. But I ended up in Tennessee to see a Mr. Henry Thomas, and I kept seeing this cobalt blue orb over the left side of my eye out of the peripheral vision. And he says, oh no, that's just one of your masters. It's probably Saint Germain or Archangel Michael, and these are the people I resonate with. And he says it's vibrating way too fast. Unless you can slow down, it won't take on form. But I notice it still happens. I get that cobalt blue little orb. It shows up about right here. And I just smile and go, okay, now let's get to work.
Yeah, there's always something to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I myself kind of been figuring out, you know, this healing stuff, but just touching myself and becoming more aware of how the energy in the body works. And now I'm doing it to some friends, and soon enough we'll be offering a, you know, massage and healing to people, because it can help, you know, if you have the intent to support others. Like you said, life supports you, and I figured that you can actually massage yourself as you're massaging someone else, just by feeling the energy flow between both of the bodies, and just let it harmonize and just, yeah, purify. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
If you do enough body work or do enough energy transference, now I've been doing body work for 41 years, so I probably worked on like 38,000 bodies, either full body or reflexology. And what you get eventually is that it's a mutual healing. The healing is mutual. And when it's all over, I get just as much relaxation and benefit from my client, and I'm amazed that they're paying me. Yeah, oh, really? There's money here too?
Because no one else has taken the time to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, it slows your mind. To me, it's another form of 600 pickets, because when I do massage, what sets my work and footwork different from other people is I do detail work. I go in that area and that muscle, that insertion point, until it pops loose, it relaxes, and then I move on. Mm-hmm. Instead of just do it by routine like they do in a lot of massage schools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a lot of the time then, I guess, you just, you know, you might do a whole hour, for example, just on somebody's like neck and shoulders.
Easily, yeah. Up down the spine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. You just pay attention. The body kind of tells you what it needs. Yeah.
It always does. And everybody tells you what they're not telling you if you pay attention and you're still enough. You probably notice that in the relationships that you have, is the less you try to
direct the conversation, the more you'll really hear what they're not saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. It's
If you study the Course in Miracles, they tell you how to understand the conversation in 2 words like that. So when people come up to you, they're only saying 2 things. Have you read the Course in Miracles?
no, I haven't. I've heard about it, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay, so there's only 2 things. If you want to read people, you don't have to be freaking psychic. They're either say, I love you, or help me, I'm scared.
Mm-hmm.
So when people are hostile and they're aggressive and they rub you the wrong way, they're scared, they're asking for help, and if we get triggered, we're no use to them. We might as well just walk away.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, some people they can change their mind. Everybody has the opportunity to change and make better decisions. But yeah, I understand. There's a point where you can tell if somebody they just don't want to. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to become more aware. They want to stay the same, and then it becomes a waste of your time. There's a better way to spend your time here and better things to focus on. And yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the world is like that, but there's plenty of people that do want to take the time to become more aware too. So yeah, things pop up, and it's like, you look at it, and it's like, oh, does that make sense to take my time there? You kind of hover around, you do something, you keep doing things to see what happens, and then eventually something will happen, and you'll like know which way to go. But the more active you are, the faster you get the response. Yeah.
Exactly. So what I would like to do is to open up a moment with you, brother, right now, that we can transmit waves of love to all beings. That we can send blessings and light and laughter and healing and prosperity and freedom to everybody.
Real freedom, yes.
Real freedom. Freedom from, as Bob Marley said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Nobody can save you but your mind.
Well, you can save yourself from your mind even, yeah.
You can. So that seems to be my biggest message for humanity, for everybody I work with, is love and oneness. No matter what approach we take, and no matter what path we took to get to this moment, if you really want to land and feel okay with yourself, eventually it goes to self-love and helping other people return to their place of acceptance and feeling valuable.
Yeah, and one important thing though is to really understand and recognize like real love as opposed to like emotional, sensational love. Because that is like, that can be good for a time, but it's limited. Real love is endless, and it's just like with your real awareness. It's just like pure white, golden light. Like purity, sincerity, gratitude, humility. These things, they're all wonderful. Real love. That's how I like to specify the difference, because it can be just thrown around by some people, but they're not actually aware of like what it can be, and how to express it, how to demonstrate. That's the word I'm looking for. How to demonstrate real love is just like a mother with a child. It's just like, and then the child, you can imagine the child looking up at the mother. There's like a recognition of that relationship there, that mutual support. And it's like life itself wants us to become more aware and recognize what it is, just like a mother wants to have a child so that the child can recognize the mother, and they can have that experience becoming more aware together, because life itself actually wants to become more aware. And so by us deciding to support it, it does, and we become more aware, life becomes more aware. And things just get better into endless real universes, or real freedom with no restrictions, no authorities, no cause and effect. So these things, this reality does exist. Yeah. It
does exist, and we might just start saying "I love you" to people for no reason.
Yeah, sure. I talk to the trees, and I just say like, I tell them I'm so grateful. I touch them, or the mushrooms I find, I touch them. I just say thanks, you're wonderful. you don't have to touch them, but it feels nice. You know, it's nice to have that physical connection too.
Yeah, well, unlike humans that are touch starved, that's why in certain times of year, my wellness practice, it builds and builds and builds because people are gaining in stress, and they're usually touch starved. They're too busy getting things done without taking care of their well-being.
Yeah, people are too fast forward, and yeah, that's just the way it's set up. Everybody's rushing to their death is one way I put it, but yeah, people can become more aware, and they can make better choices, and yeah, you just once you're doing something, you have a real purpose. When you're doing things that makes sense for everybody, then they make sense for yourself. so you're looking after yourself at the same time, so you can avoid that. Yeah.
Well, there is a razor's edge that people walk on. There's this fine line between selfish and self-nurturing. And so we have to love ourselves, be kind to ourselves, heal ourselves in order to help other people. Because otherwise you'll be giving all your life force away. So, I mean, there's a constant practice when you wake up and you're in your mastery to be really good at energy maintenance, energy management, because the world is running pretty darn fast and you can get spun out of your balance way too fast. And so for me, I'm in the public a lot. Having time off and being alone in nature, be able to have my place to myself is what a gift.
Oh yeah, I understand. I totally relate. Yeah, we live at the beach. I have to get up in the morning. I go straight to the beach and I get in the water. I go surfing or I stretch and move around. And yeah, it's essential. Everybody, you know, is gonna do their own thing, but it's important to take the time. Yeah, because yeah, otherwise you just get whacked to the. Yeah, I totally understand. And yeah, getting out there in the natural environment, because the natural environment is a reflection of like the whole of life, the all natural environment life is, and that's what we are. And so when we get out there and we experience it, we kind of get like back and retuned. You know, I say like getting in the ocean is like a battery. I get recharged by all the negative ions in there, and then we come back into this. You know, it's like a little funny astral black magic, doesn't have to be black, but just like magic technology stuff, and it kind of gets our physical bodies out of whack. But yeah, you gotta find the balance. Yeah.
If you get in the forest, if you get out to the beach, if you get out in nature and you move further away from the city, you don't get the static. You don't get the electromagnetic frequencies. You don't get the psychic energy and fear of everybody. You're just there in nature, who is standing in eternal time, being, without even thinking about, oh, well, I need to grow another branch. It'll take me another couple of years after working that branch. No, they're just being totally at peace.
Yeah, I totally understand. You know, myself growing up in New Zealand, you're surrounded by the Pacific Ocean, small islands. It's easy to get out of the city. I spend a lot of time, you know, living in forests or at the beach and things, and it's wonderful. And then here now I'm in a city in America. It's a huge comparison. And so, yeah, with what we're doing with our total universal rainforest projects is we want to create self-sufficient communities so people can have the opportunity to go and live out there. We don't need lethal Wi-Fi. You know, we don't need all these things. We can make it better. We can do things in a way that is more in harmony with the natural environment. And so, yeah, I totally understand, and I encourage people to go and do that if they can figure it out. But if they can't, this is why we want to do our projects, so we can support others to support themselves. Yeah.
Walk barefoot every day, even if you don't want to. Walk barefoot every day.
Until you get kicked out of the store. Yeah. Bring your earth runners just in case. Yeah.
Now, Boulder's a pretty hip city here because it's been building on Buddhism and Ram Dass energy and Allen Ginsberg since the 60s. And I would walk barefoot into a Whole Foods store, which you know is now owned by Amazon. And the security guard would say, you know you're supposed to wear shoes here, but go ahead and buy what you need to get out of here. So there's some leeway, but most of the stores won't let you go out barefoot.
unfortunately. But yeah, walking barefoot's awesome. Stimulate all the reflexology points on your feet. Learn to feel your feet as you're walking. It's very interesting when you pay attention. There's all the hundreds of little bones and joints and things, and it affects your whole body. You can grip the ground with your feet and all sorts. I did a Tom Brown Jr. tracking courses. I don't know if you've heard of him, a couple years ago. And he learned from a Native American guy who walked the Americas for 86 years. He never went into a house or anything. And anyway, so I learned to walk like the Native Americans do. And so I walk with, this was my foot, you know, my toes hit here, then the ball of my foot rolls over, and then my heel touches the ground, and then I pull with my hamstring, my body forward, and it becomes like a little game, kind of like paddling a surfboard. You're just like pulling your physical body around.
Whoops. Hi.
You're running out of battery.
I need to come to a close. I need to come to a close on our call. Sorry about this.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. I usually don't go much over an hour, so that's cool, brother.
Oh. Are you able to edit any of this, or just a full talk?
Well, we're live, so it is what it is.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay.
Well, I bless you on your journey as a host, and with all the work you're doing on the planet, we need you. So I'm glad you're part of this, and you're not sitting still, and you're not holding back what you can do.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the recognition, and right back at you. You're doing some cool stuff over there. So we'll keep in contact and keep up the good work. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We'll talk to you later. Cheers.
Blessings, guys.